All right, and we are live for another episode of Success Sundays. I'm one of your hosts, Oscar Chavez, and
Jacob Galea, guys, how are you?
awesome. I'm very excited. So make sure you type in the comments the questions that you have today, because our topic is how to win your clients' trust. And we all know that without trust, you cannot close new deals, you can't feed your family, you can't do all the stuff that you want to do. I believe that trust is a fundamental for being able to grow your business. So, Jacob, you said you like this topic. Tell me why.
Oh, look, Oscar, when I read about this topic, it was like perfect because, there's an age-old saying in business that people buy off people they like and trust. Um, you're in marketing, and for a long time we've been looking at and studying brands. People buy brands that they trust from, right? That they know it's going to be the best lead, that it's suit them. So, for me, business is all about trust, and a lot of people come in and out of our boardrooms, and deals come in and out, and the ones that stick with you are the ones that you build the most trust with. Trust is a very important word in the boardroom that I think a lot of people underestimate. And a lot of people can win a lot more deals by learning how to build rapport, get through that rapport stage, and get straight to trust quickly. Brand trust is a very, very powerful tool. I think it's underestimated. I think a lot of people don't know how to use it. And I think they don't know how to keep it as well, because people tend to go in and out of dimensions because that they're following a deal, not the relationship of a person. So for me, Oscar, trust is everything. It's like if you lose a brand's trust, if you lose a company's trust, if you lose a person's trust, that's it. It's game over. I mean, I know with me personally, I give people all of me, but once someone breaks my trust, I just can't go back, right? So for me, brand trust is everything. But you're the marketing guru. Tell me from a marketing perspective about trust, Oscar.
Oh, that's such a it's a big question. Trust is really, I'll tell an interesting story, right? So
Yep.
great in the last economic crisis, a lot of companies pulled out of marketing, and majority of the companies that lost everything and that completely lost the ability to do business because there was no more cash flow was because when times got tough, they pulled out of marketing. And so what happened was, interestingly, the clients felt that the brands didn't care about them anymore. So trust is very much an emotional thing. And I believe that the best way to build trust with anyone you're trying to do business with, or the clients that you already have, or when you're trying to establish new relationships, is that you've generally really got to be curious about the other person. And you can't, if you're one of those people that it's always like, oh, I've got to close this deal, I've got to close this deal, they read it, right? Because your energy is reflecting what you have going on the inside. So if you've got going on the inside that you want to be a good person, you want to be curious, you want to help people solve their problems, you want to add value to them, then they read that as good energy. And then they start to build trust with you a lot faster. You don't have to wait for 7, 8, 10 interactions with someone before they trust you. They can trust you straight away. I walked into a boardroom with a chief risk officer, $8 million a year. This guy was looking me up and down. I had a suit and tie on, but he was kind of looking me up and down like, who is this guy? Like, why is he in my boardroom? And I remember I just had to ask him really interesting questions, like, what's your focus and strategy for the next 12 months? Where are you focusing on? And it made him think differently, because everybody else that's come into his boardroom has tried to pitch him something, or has tried to tell him about all of their good products and services, or has tried to do something to turn and to try to almost manipulate the person into buying something. That's not my style. And that's why I build trust so well, because I'm genuinely just really interested in other people. And that's how you build trust. So I guess, to answer your question, it's emotions, it's what's going on the inside. It's that building rapport and showing who you are with authenticity. I mean, in your line of work, Jacob, I mean, you're dealing with some really high profile people. How do you get them to trust you, right? Because some people are skeptical. So how do you get them to trust you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'll give you a case study now. I've got an amazing client, CEO I'm working with, about a $50 million business. And I've had to work with him one-on-one first for a period of time, for about 6 months, until he gave me his leadership team to train. At the beginning, I said, I'll coach you and executive coach you and your leadership team. And he said, no, I just want it first, and then we'll consider the team later. I had to go through a process through him mentally of 6 months worth of building trust and rapport to make sure before I got. Now, to answer your question, how do I do that? The quickest way to build trust is through results. Yeah. So, if you're a businessman and you want to get trust quickly, build results. If you're an athlete, I've worked with the Wanderers, and I've watched great coaches like Tony Popovich with the players on the team. And if you're a player and you want to prove something to the coach, and you want his trust, go out there and play better than anyone else. But play the best game you've ever played. And I think business is the same. Go and give the best of you in everything they do, and show people. Don't tell them, hey, listen, you should. You know what I can't stand, Oscar, when you sit in front of someone in a meeting and they say to me, I get some young gun that sits in front of me and says, oh, you should trust me about this. So once someone says you should trust me, it's game over. Then I've got a reason not to trust them. I hate people say that to me, right? It's like, don't say that to me, because trust is something that's proven, not talked about. Trust is something that is a long-term game, not a short-term game. So for me, in my game, and tomorrow I'm jumping on a plane back, traveling up to Brisbane to see my clients, and it's all about brand trust. It's these guys trust your content, they trust your strategy, they trust the person that you are, they trust they trust me so much with their individual key staff that they're willing to give you all of them and all of the business. So for me, trust is about results. Yeah, if you want someone to trust you, it's like a relationship. It's like someone says, how do I know I can trust you? Let me show you, right? And that's what it's all about. It's simply about results, man. And I think people in today's world in 2020 don't understand the authenticity of what it means to be trusted, and the respect of when you've got someone's trust, especially in a high-powered business. When a 50, $100 million CEO trusts you with their business, I think we underestimate how powerful that is, and what brand message they're really, really sending us. So, whether you're young in business and starting out, whether you're an entrepreneur or solopreneur, whatever you are, a corporate entrepreneur, whatever position you hold right now, it doesn't matter whether you're in sales, admin, it doesn't matter what role you do. What matters is get to stage trust as quick as you can in a relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things you said made me really think about the fact that you just got to show up, right? You have to show up at your best, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what emotional things, or no matter what fight you've had with your kid or whatever. Like, life is crazy, right? And people need to realize that when you're with someone, you've got to give them all of your energy and all of your focus and all of your attention. So, I've been into several meetings where someone's, just playing with their phone or whatever, or checking their mail, and it's not right, right? So if you want to build trust with people, you got to be there. You got to be present to help them understand that you are there for them. And if you're there for them and you're truly listening, rather than trying to just get your point across or trying to speak, because a lot of people fear uncomfortable silences. I used to be one of those guys, right? I used to be terrified of silence because I didn't have a good relationship with myself. It was always about just talking, right? But once I developed a better relationship with myself and I started doing more meditation, I started reading, I started focusing on my personal development. I mean, I'm happy to just be really still in front of a potential client and let there be awkward silence, because it gives them the space to think. And when you put that awkward silence in that conversation, sometimes they might feel uncomfortable and then tell you things that they might not have told you otherwise. So I felt that silence is a very powerful way to get your clients to open up a little bit more. I just think that's so powerful. Rax, hey, how you going, buddy?
Not too bad. How are you?
Good. Have you got something to contribute today or a question to ask?
Oh, I just jumped in, so I was just listening to the tail end of that. So I love the whole thing about silence is golden. It's pauses in neuro-linguistic programming. It's good to know one's self, to know when you need to stop.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And thank you for doing this. I've seen you join us a few times, my brother.
Yeah, and it's good to know when to stop, so that this the other person can have some time to get their thoughts together. It's always like it's like taking the whistle off the pressure cooker. I think it's just like letting them speak. But then the other part of it is, a lot of the times, that it's the battle of who can speak the first. And then the pause, and if you're talking to the client, if you pause and you've taken that whistle off the pressure cooker, they start to speak, and then they start to jabber, and then they release information that they otherwise wouldn't. But then the point is, your response is what tells them that you're listening, and then they know, like, and trust you. I think it's super, super important. I mean, I've been listening to this gentleman called Chris Moss, and he's on Masterclass, and he's the FBI trainer, and he's talking all about how negotiating, the art of negotiation, the art of laddering and listening and repetition and pause is such a powerful way to be able to build that trust, to be able to negotiate and navigate your way through anything. It doesn't matter what. It could be, a deal, or it could be a terrorist about to hack your head off. It's just, it's really, really cool. You guys should, if you ever have a chance, I'll send you my login details if you want, Oscar. You can watch the masterclass. It's phenomenal.
For sure. Thanks, Rax. Awesome. And so, speaking on trust, Jacob, I mean, how do you get more and more trust over time? Because as a business owner, we have to be focused on incremental growth or rapid growth or exponential growth, right? But first, you've got to get some incremental wins on the board. How do you do that, Jacob?
Look, Oscar, you got to get close to people. It's an inner circle game. You've got to go from an outer circle to the inner circle, and then when you're in the inner circle, there's a thing we call the inner circle. And once you're in that inner circle, that there's a trust circle that you just can't get out of. And for me, that's what it's about. Is I teach a lot of clients, get as close to your customers today as possible. A lot of people think they're close to their customers, but when I go in a boardroom and I call their customers on a private number, and I'm going in as a competition to try and take those customers off them, you'll be surprised how many of their clients are happy to talk to an opposition client to see about a deal. Now, if you've got real trust in there, if you've got a real rapport in there, people really won't prostrate you, right? So that you've got to get in the inner circle. You've got to get as close as you can to the market, to your prospects, to business, and you can never get close enough. You've got to get as close as you can. You've got to know everything about them in their inner circle. For me, that's the key to the game, Oscar.
Yeah, it's so good that you say that. And it's so true, right? You've got to be speaking to, and as well in prospecting, right? Anytime they spend with you, it's good because they're not with your competitors. So
absolutely.
Is that face time that people need, right? And it is the consistency. It's making sure that you're there. One of the things I do a lot is catching up with people for lunch. I do a lot of lunches, especially pre-COVID. Now, not so much, but pre-COVID, man, I was always doing lunches with my clients just to make sure that I'm there, even if there's no strong agenda, even if there's not a massive renewal on the table at that particular time. It was about getting that face time, because you've got to value your clients. Yes, it's easy to do other things, but like Jacob said, you got to be such that you got to behave in such a way that you're going to get on the inner circle. And if you can do that, then you're building more and more trust as time goes on. Because I believe that time smokes out all people. Time is the ultimate revealer of all things, right? Time Absolutely. Is the ultimate healer. Time is the revealer. So we've got to be in a position where we're on our game, we're growing, and we're constantly feeding ourselves so that we can give. Because you can't give out of an empty well. You've got to constantly feed yourself, especially in what Jacob and I do with high performance coaching. You've got to be constantly feeding yourself, especially as a business owner. If you're looking after people that come to work every day and they want a good place to work, then you've really got to be feeding yourself and just learning all the time so that you can be in a position to give back. All right, everyone, this is all we got time for. Rax, thanks for joining us. Any closing remarks, Jacob or Rax?
I'll have just one small thing to add to that. It's a funny thing is I used to have a saying that if I can't swear at my client, then never truly my current client, right? And I've matured a lot since then, and you use it when absolutely necessary. But it's that true sense of building rapport as opposed to a client. Nowadays in COVID, some things are like just acknowledge an email or have a grow your beard competition and just like build a relationship as opposed to a transaction. And I think that that really helps, because a lot of time clients will ask for quotes and this and that, but sometimes when your clients trust you, they call you for advice or they call you for just a chin wag, and just being there or acknowledging their email saying, hey, I might be busy, but why don't I set up some time to give you a call at 7 o'clock? And yeah, people go, oh, you work at 7 o'clock. Nah, man, I build my relationships after work. It's how I foster those relationships during work. It's a never ending process. And that's what entrepreneurs need to learn is, yes, they might do during the work time, but it's where they build and nurture those relationships is where they're going to get trust.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Jacob? Any closing remarks?
Oh, look, for me, trust is an art. It's like learning to paint. You have to learn it. Spend time every week, practicing the art of trust in a boardroom, with your clients, and practice it nonstop. Don't do it once a month. Don't do it once a quarter. Practice it every day. If you eat every day, practice trust every day. That's how important it is. Because if you've got a selected private client portfolio that all trust you, your business is solid and you're going to go a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you everyone for joining us on Success Sunday, the place where we prepare you for success, because the week is long and we get distracted on transactional stuff. So we got to come together on a Sunday, focus on the transformational, build each other up. And I thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you again next Sunday, 6:30 p.m. at Sydney time, AEST. Thanks everyone. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Laters.
See you, Rex.